Hi, this is Dan Collins, Editor-in-Chief of Modern Trader Magazine, coming to you live from the Flora CME Group on July 7th for Traders Exclusive. The last time we talked to you was exactly 2 weeks ago, and we were on the eve of the Brexit vote. What I mentioned that the vote had a chance to have a large impact on the market, but maybe not as large as some people had thought, and not in so many markets that it has. Now, Brexit was somewhat of a surprise. I think most people knew it was going to be close, but there was an assumption that the vote was going to be Remain. An interesting kind of trade right there that in hindsight was a good trade in terms of the volatility of it, is that all the polls were very close. Right before, a week before, there was an incident with a Parliament member being killed in England, and that turned the vote in favor of remaining, but it was basically a couple points one way or the other. Now, the gambling books in London had the odds of Remain at 75%, even if you looked at, the poll was slightly 52% for Remain. So there was kind of an arbitrage opportunity for you. So something that's kind of good to remember. You're playing one side against the other. If the polls are at 52% and the odds are 75%, there's an arbitrage right there in the middle. But that's just an aside, because it actually did have a dramatic effect, more of an effect on the markets than I said it did. Except here's the thing: we're at July 7th. The S&P 500 is exactly where it was right before the vote, and in fact, on the morning, shortly after the market opened, the S&P was about 60 points above the low from overnight. And that was one of the main points I was making 2 weeks ago. When news comes overnight, the markets are less liquid, and they tend to overreact. Now, on Friday the 24th, the pessimism went down, so the market returned lower, but they had to retrace that loss that was made in illiquid markets. There's the issue of in the big move in August related to China. The same thing occurred. The market tanked overnight. On the open, it got back to maybe to even before it went back down again. So in the early morning hours of regular trading, they're going to retrace those losses. It's something to remember. Now, with Brexit, the crude oil is still lower, but crude oil was overpriced, and I still don't believe that it had much of an effect on it. Those were opportunities. Now, we're back to normal. Is everything fine? No, the Brexit vote, this is a 2-year process. So throughout this, there's going to be news, and it's going to cause some volatility. It's going to cause a spark. If it happens, that news comes out overnight, that activity is going to overshoot what it should do. You're going to see these short bursts of volatility, which are all opportunities. There's, like the rule on Brexit is they have to submit a form, and then they can leave 2 years later. Some people would like to expedite that. But as these negotiations go through, there's going to be stories, and it's going to cause bursts of volatility, and the market's going to move. Those are going to be opportunities to fade, to continue that. As you said, with news like this, the market usually overreacts. If it comes out overnight hours, you fade that. It's an opportunity to take some quick tips out of the market. Now, I'm not talking about the currency markets, because that's greatly affected. This creates a lot of fear, so gold has been up. Gold reacts to fear all the time. The dollar has also improved. But on the ancillary markets, our stock market, crude oil, it shouldn't have that great of an effect. And if it does appear to have, that's a great opportunity for you to hedge and to make a few ticks on people overreacting to certain news items. Also, remember, if you have this disparity where a vote like Brexit, where the prevailing wisdom is a very close vote one way or the other, and a market, in this case, the odds in London had the percentage at 75, then there's an arbitrage opportunity there. Think of binary options. Binary options price things in odds from 0 to 100. So think that in that market, and not sure if any of the exchanges offering binaries actually had a market on the Brexit. I'm sure some of them in Europe did. But if that's at 75 and you're seeing, polling saying that it's 50-55, well, that's an opportunity to do an arbitrage. So remember, big moves overnight usually get retraced. This has been Dan Collins, Editor-in-Chief of Modern Trader magazine for Traders Exclusive. See you next time.